Hey folks, it's Tom, your frugal prepper. I wanted to show you what's going on with the garden. I had to get it planted in a hurry. I really didn't have time to record the preparation and planting process. I had like one day to get it all done, and my son helped me because I had to go to Florida. So it's about a week and a day after planting here, and I'm back from Florida. Luckily we got rain every couple days while I was gone, so the garden stayed happy. And I'll just show you what I've done and what I've planted this year and some of the changes I've made. Alright, so what I've got here is just my tomatoes and peppers in this bed. I think I've got about 35 to 40 tomato plants. The rest is filled in with peppers. So one of the changes I made this year was I had always used some electrical wire and stapled it to the stakes for this bottom wire. This year I just used galvanized fence wire and put a nail in and wrap that wire around. That's more the way the Mittleider book tells you to do it, and it actually works really well. It's a little faster and easier to set up. So most of these are better boys. Then I go into a few other varieties. I'm not even sure what I'll plant it because we had a big windstorm while I was gone, and it blew all of my markers out. As you can see, one laying there. So it'll be kind of a surprise at this point as to what tomato plant is what. But they're looking healthy. They're at least double the size they were when I planted them, a week and a day ago. And that's generally what I see with tomatoes, is they double in size every week. In the Mittleider method. Over here I've got this one runt, but that thing was real tiny when I planted it. It's definitely probably tripled in size. And then some more tomato plants down through here. These just all tie up, and they'll grow up the string to these T-frames tied up to these wires. So we tie them up, and then they'll grow in a V pattern to maximize airflow and light. And the peppers, again, all the markers got blown out, so it'll be a surprise. I have some banana peppers, quite a few bell peppers, and Hungarian wax peppers. I don't think I planted any jalapenos or anything hot this year. I really like sweet peppers. But these are all looking pretty happy and healthy. Definitely have doubled in size. Over here is just more peppers in this bed. Then my onions, which I've got to get the circle hoe out here and take care of some of these small weeds around these onions. Which I'll do one of these evenings when it's cool. I've got 4 zucchini plants, and then my squash seeds this year did not germinate, so I had to buy some new seeds and replant when I got back, and they're under this burlap right here. So there'll be 3 summer squash plants there. And over here's my beans. These were literally planted a day later, so these are 1 week today. And you can see they are up. They're starting to send up their pole and climb up the strings. They're just happy beans. These are the Kentucky Blue Lake beans, I think is what they are. They're supposed to be a stringless. I haven't grown them before. I just didn't have enough Kentucky Wonder seeds left. And the Kentucky Wonders seem to really take off and get big and stringy really quick if you don't pick them. And since these say stringless, maybe they'll be better. I figured I'd try a different variety and see how that goes. I wanted to do, rather than bush beans that I have to replant, the pole beans will just keep giving off beans, you know, all season. So I wanted to go with them. I've done bush beans before. I usually use them like if I am done with onions and I pull them and I have 40-50 days left, I'll plant a quick bush bean. But the indeterminate, the pole varieties of beans will just keep giving off beans all season long, so you can grow them for a full season. And that's what I'm kind of trying to do this year, is I just picked plants that are going to take the whole season. I'm really busy at work and with stuff, and I just have not had time, you know, or won't have the time to do much with the garden. The other thing is that, you know, last year I had tilled all this grass out of here, and I've been keeping it weeded down. I've let all the grass grow back, along with some weeds, of course, but that's fine. And I'll just mow it. I know that the grass can harbor pests and disease, but it's frankly never been that big of an issue as long as I cut it every week, nice and short. And you know, I'm a big guy. It's one of the reasons I space my beds so far apart. I give myself lots of room to work, and I don't like bending over all the time to work in the garden. It's hard on my back, so I like to sit down and work with my plants. And when this is all dirt, it turns to mud, and you get covered in mud trying to sit and work on your plants, and then you're trying to put cardboard or something down to sit on. It's just a lot easier for me to have grass here and keep it cut short and weed whack around the edge of the beds. It's a lot more comfortable working environment for me, so I like that better. But that's what's going on. My peppers, you know, I always stake them right after I plant them, because that way the roots will grow around them. You don't have to worry about piercing roots or hurting the plant, and they're all ready to go. I just use these fiberglass rods. You can get them for like $1.49 a piece. So I planted more peppers this year, so I had to actually buy 10 more of these, but I use them year after year after year, so it pays for itself in the long run. And they just work really well. You can tie off to them. You can find them in the electric fence section at Tractor Supply is where I get them. And they're really the same kind of posts as I have on my electric fence, except these have the little clips that hold the wires. So my electric fence just runs around the perimeter. I have 2 wires there, and it does a great job of keeping the animals out. You have to weed whack around it, keep the weeds knocked down from it, which I just did yesterday. And that just runs back to my little electric box here, where I have my controller plugged in up here, and that's just the cheapest one they had at Tractor Supply. This is my 3rd year using it. It's worked great. And so, like, you know, I just take this little door off, turn it off and on, and then I can just kind of close that, keep it out of the weather. And it's just some plywood that I painted with some cheap paint, and it just is actually that it's got an extension cord that's buried that runs over and goes in the garage there, and then another extension cord that's buried that goes back and feeds power to my shed. I'll probably come up with better wire and conduit or something at some point, but so far this has been working fine. But yeah, that's what's going on with the garden. I'll keep you updated. You know, basically I just tilled the beds up, tilled in pre-plant, tilled in my weekly feed, planted, and I just gave a first dose of weekly feed to everything that's actually sprouted. So the squash won't get it until they start growing, because I had to replant those. But yeah, everything's going good so far. I'm real happy. I pruned suckers yesterday. I could probably stand to do a little more pruning on a couple of these, but I think they can wait till next week, and I'll go through and prune them all at once. And you can see some weeds starting here in the tomatoes and peppers. I'll knock those down with the 2-way hoe a little bit here and there, but once these get a few more weeks on them, they'll be big enough that they shade out all the weeds, and the weeds just won't be a problem, or a very big problem. You might occasionally have to pull 1 or 2 big weeds. And it'll be the same with those beans. The only thing I'll probably have to do some weeding around will be those onions. And I'll just use a little circle hoe to do that. And I can just get in there and kind of knock the worst of them out. Again, the onions will get big and start to shade things out a little too. So, I see pollinators at work there. There's a bee. So, I do have a couple of tomatoes that set already right here on this little guy. You can see those. And I have a pepper growing somewhere over there, a banana pepper. So, yeah, stuff's happy. I got the garden in about 2 to 3 weeks late this year. But it's been my experience, it catches up really quick. Because until we get to these really hot summer days, it doesn't grow much. Once you hit these hot summer days, it just boom. And it usually catches right up, even if you plant late. But yeah, that's what's going on with the garden this year. I'll keep you guys updated as to how things are going. This is Tom, your frugal prepper. I'll talk to y'all later.